Mason. Are you feeling derpy?
Right now?
Yes.
Just a tad derpy.
You feeling a little derpy? Are
Yeah.
you feeling it, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Anyways, how is everybody doing tonight? It is I, the Derposaurus. And this is the 6th Skizzo Rambling video. These kind of videos, I've been making these for like over a year and a half now, this being the 6th one, or like here and there I just want to like get on camera, or should I say on the microphone tonight with this Minecraft gameplay, and hang back, relax, and just like talk about life. And since I just like ended my like YouTube hiatus, like you guys might have seen my Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review that I posted on my channel the other night, but I saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts the other night too, but like I got home from the theater and I was gonna review it like I usually would, but like my webcam was glitching and just wouldn't film at all, so I'll have to figure out what that issue is. So yeah, tonight I'm just doing a Skizzo Rambling. So this Skizzo Rambling is gonna function as both like handful of things. Like it's gonna be my review for Rise of the Beasts, or like more like a mini review, I suppose. And I'm gonna I'll give you guys my very brief like mini review thoughts on all the films that I saw while I was away from YouTube, while I was like taking my break from YouTube for 2 months. And I really just wanted to talk about like just like what life has been like for me for the past 2 months too. You know, with me walking away from YouTube temporarily to like look at internships and and jobs and door dashing and stuff like that, which is what ultimately led me out here with my new place this summer. And also, I have to give a very special belated birthday shout out to Daily Reacts TV. Daily Reacts, my man, thank you so much for being one of my most, like, probably the most loyal subscriber that I've had for almost 2 years now, I think. I remember, if my memory is correct, you found my channel like through my live stream that I did 2 years ago, right after the end of my spring semester, my senior year at CSU. Yeah, when I was like reacting to music videos, you requested that one rap video for me to react to. And yeah, it's just, that's been, all your messages on Instagram really make my day, and everything that you've done for me in this channel, and like everything, it's just, thank you for just being there. And your 21st birthday, I'm really glad you survived your birthday hangover. Oh boy, that must have been rough, I suppose. But yeah, just happy belated 21st birthday, Daily Reacts TV, and I appreciate you, man. And I didn't write a script. Like, I almost never write. I never write scripts for these, like, for my videos. But I did a little notepad on my cell phone, so like, a little list of things I want to discuss in this video. Also, like, when I was editing my review for Across the Spider-Verse the other night, I had no idea how like ridiculously squeaky my chair was until I filmed that. And I just wanted to apologize, or if the lighting is weird in my room. Like, I wanted to apologize for the chair, and excuse me. And if the lighting seems a little funky in here, if you guys are hearing like the chair just squeaking, like when I film videos, just like now I made the chair squeak. Hey, here is a squeak. A squeak. No wait, that's not squeaky. Mason, I can't speak.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Oh, there you go.
Yes. You must give into the squeak. I'm gonna turn off the light too. I have the lamp light right here, and then I turn on the overhead light, if that's okay. And I wanted to talk about Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This is, I mean, to this day, my favorite out of all live-action Transformers movies is Bumblebee. Like, is Rise of the Beasts better than Bumblebee? No, I think Bumblebee was overall the better film. But like, if I had to put Rise of the Beasts like on my old scale of a 0 to 9, I would give it like a solid. I would give it like a solid 6 out of 9 stars. Like, it's a solid thumbs up. It was a solid thumbs up for me. I love Peter Cullen as the voice of Optimus Prime, and like it's weird. I have Transformers Revenge of the Fallen on DVD. I brought it with me here to my new internship, dorms. So I watching Rise of the Beasts in theaters made me want to rewatch Revenge of the Fallen, because that's like one of my biggest guilty pleasure movies. Like, it's so stupid. But here's a weird thing with like the Bayformers movies, like the Transformers films directed by Michael Bay. They are to like boys who grew up during the 2000s, like what Twilight is for girls who grew up during the 2000s. Because it's weird, because people grow up loving those shows. Like, all the boys praise Transformers like in elementary school, and like all the girls praise Twilight in elementary school and like start middle school. But then, like, as we get older, when high school and college rolls around, just like, oh my gosh, Transformers is so bad. Or so it's like, oh, Twilight is so bad. Yeah, that's what like the first 5 Transformers movies are. But then Bumblebee is just like, oh wow, Travis Knight as a director, he actually gives a shit. I think Stephen Cable Jr. did a pretty solid job directing, the Rise of the Beasts. But like, my biggest issue with Rise of the Beasts is its script. I mean, the writing's not like, it's not bad by any means. It's just the whole film just felt rushed. Like, I don't want to entirely blame Stephen Cable Jr. for this. Maybe the studio was like rushing him to like get the movie done. Like, hey, these scenes are taking too long. You gotta make it more concise and just like straight to the point. And it's good to keep your movie straight to the point, but sometimes having a longer runtime, I don't know off the top of my head how long this film is, but having a longer runtime might actually do you some favors in order to just like slow the script down and like flesh out the characters a little bit more and stuff like that. Because I love Anthony Ramos as the main human character in this movie. I mean, I know the main criticism with Transformers is like, oh, it's too much about the humans, like too much Shia LaBeouf, too much Megan Fox, and not enough like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee and the Autobots and Decepticons, because that's what we're all here for. Like, when we go to Transformers, is we're here for the robots and the cars, not the humans. But I actually think that what the heck, I have my laptop right in front of me, so I'm gonna look up Anthony Ramos's character's name really fast. Rotten Tomatoes, no, go away, no, you guys are listening to the ads. Curses. See movie details. Okay, here we go. And I imagine how entertaining it would be to listen to without actually watching me, because I'm just voicing over this video. I scrolled down, and Noah, that was his name. Like, there's Noah, who's played by Anthony Ramos, and then there's his little brother, then there's Mirage, who's voiced by Pete Davidson. I thought the dynamic, like, because Anthony Ramos, he's got to be the older brother to like his younger brother, because their mom is like struggling and everything. But like, I think there's one scene where like Mirage is like, has to promise to like the little brother that like, oh, he's gonna keep Noah safe throughout the film. And I think Pete Davidson did an excellent job voicing Mirage. Like, here's like I said, back to like the rushed script from this film. I think there's nothing wrong with having like a lot of different characters in your movie, like, because it's been done well in the past. There's Optimus, there's Bumblebee, and there's Mirage. Those are like the 3 Autobots that get like the most amount of like the attention throughout the film. They get the most dialogue, they get the most important scenes in the movie. They a lot is put on their shoulders. And there's the other Autobots, like there's RC, who's the new girl motorcycle like Autobot, but she doesn't get that much dialogue. Just like the Maximals, the new Beast robots they introduced. There's Erzor, who's voiced by Michelle Yeoh. She gets a lot of dialogue. And there's Primal, their gorilla, who's the leader of their team, who is voiced by Ron Perlman. He gets a lot of dialogue. But then there's all these other Maximals who like barely get to say anything, if not anything at all. Like there's Cheetor and there's like Rhinox, who only get like 1 line of dialogue each, like in the entire film. And I was like, wait a minute, we were promised these guys in a trailer with, the Beasts and, the Maximals, and there's like, hey, cool, new Rhino Transformer, and a new Cheetah Transformer, but wait a minute, they barely get any action scenes or any even, like, dialogue in the film. Like, why would they do that? I just wish that I imagine that there's going to be an 8th film. I assume they're moving forward with, this new rebooted Transformers franchise without Michael Bay, which, again, I consider a good thing. I would really like to see more of the Maximals in this next film, in this third film, I suppose, I would really love to see, because I've heard like really good things. Like I've heard praises for like the Beast Wars like comics and like the TV series, for Transformers. So I'd be really interested in like reading that at some point. But yeah, and also like visually speaking, the film is gorgeous. Like the CGI, the cinematography, the choreography for the fight scenes was really good too. And yeah, the film was very well shot, very well executed. Stephen Cable Jr. like he was really passionate about directing this film, which I think obviously like why people hate Michael Bay so much is because Michael Bay was like, dude, it was in it just for the money, and was he's a jerk on set. But like I think Stephen Cable Jr. he actually like cares about his craft, which I really respect. So yeah, like I said, with Transformers Rise of the Beasts, like it's not great by any means, but I think it's worth checking out, especially if you're a Transformers fan. Like I would give it like a 6 out of 9 stars. It is a likable film. And I just want to like just briefly like breeze through these like mini reviews for like my the other films that like the other films I saw during like my hiatus. And by the way, these films, the way I'm listing them off, they're not like in any specific order from like from March till May specifically. It's just the films that I saw. It's not like I saw these movies like these are not like worst to best. These aren't like, hey, I saw this film this time like a week before this other film. No, it's just like these are the films that I saw during I make these kinds of videos, these voiceover videos, like when I rank like all the summer films I see each year from worst to best. There's always one film I totally forget that I saw. Therefore, I when I go back to edit or when it's posted, I'm just like, oh man, I totally forgot to put Nope in my ranked like summer 2022 movies video from worst to best last year. Like I saw Nope, but I totally forgot to put it in that video. So I really hope I'm not making this mistake tonight, so we'll see how this video ages, I suppose. But I saw Evil Dead Rise. That movie was interesting. Like there was, because I've seen the first like Evil Dead, and I've seen the 2013 reboot Evil Dead, and this film was like, I saw a trailer for it, I was like, ooh, interesting, new Evil Dead film. Like this, and also like Transformers Rise of the Beasts, they're like standalone sequels, so you don't really need to see its predecessor to like know what's going on. That's how it's written. Like how Rise of the Beasts is like set in the 90s, while Bumblebee was set in the 80s. And like, Haley Steinfeld's not in that movie, like how she was in Bumblebee, but like they mention her character just like very briefly, like Bumblebee and like Optimus are having like a conversation, and Optimus is like, oh, like I know one human was good to you, B, and showed you kindness, but we can't trust them still. But yeah, like Evil Dead Rise is like a standalone sequel, so you don't need to see the 2013 Evil Dead film to like really know what's going on. It's about like, there's a mom and her kids, and the aunt, her sister, who's they're estranged. They haven't really like spoken to each other in years, but now they're back into the situation. Like the kids, they find the Necronomicon, which brings forth the demons and the Evil Dead, and like it's super gory. It's very like a lot of disturbing imagery and all that goodiness. And yeah, this film was pretty good. It was very stylish. It was very like over the top with like its gore, which is kind of the point. There were like funny scenes too, and I was the way the film ends, I'm assuming they're going through with like maybe another installment in the franchise, which I'd be interested in seeing. And yeah, right, like Evil Dead Rise, I too like Rise of the Beasts. I would give that a 6 out of 9. Excuse me, I'm sorry I'm burping so much, but yeah, I would give Evil Dead Rise a 6 out of 9 stars. It is a likable film. And then there's Mario, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which was like one of my most anticipated films that I saw this year, and I gotta say I was not disappointed. Illumination, like they really, I'm so happy that this film succeeded as well as it did. Like it shattered like so many box office records. It's currently the highest grossing film of 2023, which says a lot, both as like an animated movie and a video game adaptation, or a film adaptation of the video game. I'm so happy that these two industries are finally starting to get along. Like, hey, we can have a successful Mario Bros. Movie after the abysmal dumpster fire that was the 1993 Super Mario's film. Oh, I just got a happy message from one of my friends. Yeah. And actually haven't seen the 1993 like Mario Bros. Film. I just know that like it's like universally despised. So I'm glad that like we finally got like a proper like well-made Mario movie, which is awesome. Like yeah, because I thought the voice cast was fantastic. Like Chris Pratt as Mario and Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach. That especially genius casting. Jack Black nailed it as Bowser, and Seth Rogen did good as Donkey Kong as well. And Charlie Day as Luigi, and there's and Keegan-Michael Key as the Toads. I was really one of the actually like I guess the only issues I had with like Mario Bros was like the soundtrack. I mean, no Sleep Till Brooklyn makes sense because I get it, like Mario and Luigi, they're Italian plumbers from Brooklyn. That makes sense to me, but there's so many like other songs that are just thrown into the movie just for the sake of it, which hey, I played some like punk rock too when I played like games like Mario and Pokemon growing up, but like don't shove that into the movie. Like I get this movie is made by video game fans for video game fans, but like don't take it too far though. And that like this is really just like a nitpick. It's not like a legit like issue, but like I was really hoping to see more of Yoshi because he only gets like a brief cameo appearance. Like there's this he's like running around the whole herd of other Yoshis, and Yoshi was like him and Donkey Kong were my two favorite like Mario characters growing up. When I played the games like in Mario Kart. So I hope like if there's gonna be another like Mario movie with Illumination like as like a sequel to this one, like I would hope to see more Yoshi in that. But yeah, I thought the animation was fantastic, and it just like it felt so true to like the source material, like how they intertwine like the flowers and the mushrooms with the film's narrative and all that jazz. And yeah, I just and the soundtrack. Well, again, I was kind of annoyed with the needle drops, but like the score, how they combined like the OG like video game soundtrack with like new sounds. I thought the composer did a fantastic job on that. And yeah, Super Mario Bros. I'm just really happy. Like I said, I'm really happy for this movie that it succeeded as well as it did, and I have to give it an 8 out of 9 stars. It's a great film. And another movie that I saw was Fast X. This is actually I went to see this movie. The 10th film, or I guess the 11th film if you can count Hobbs and Shaw, the 11th film in the Fast and Furious franchise. I saw this movie the night before I actually started my road trip out here to upstate New York for my new internship that I started 2 weeks ago. And yeah, the road trip was 3 days, and it was a nice trip. It was great seeing going across the country once more. Yeah, after what happened in Oregon back in March, and I get to see like all 4 time zones in the mainland United States this year, which has been super cool. But anyways, yeah, Fast X was I still haven't seen the previous like Fast and Furious film, F9, like the Fast Saga, when they introduced like John Cena as a villain, which again, the Fast and Furious movies haven't really like. They were never really that concerned about plot or continuity and stuff, so I kind of walked into Fast X assuming I wouldn't need to see, like, F9 to really know what's going on. And even then, it's like, I could tell, like, I was aware that John Cena was the bad guy in the last movie because of the trailer, but, like, I assume he turns good at some point in F9 because he is, like, a good guy in this film. And, but yeah, I decided to skip F9 because I was busy with summer school at the time, and like I just heard like so many bad things about it. And I was like, Fast and Furious. Like, I respect the Fast and Furious franchise, and they're fun movies, and I like the characters, but I'm not like crazy about it like some people are, if that makes any sense. But yeah, Fast X, it was good. Like, it was not as good as like Furious 7 or like Fate of the Furious. Those are those are still my favorites in the Fast franchise. Was it better than Hobbs and Shaw? Yeah, in my opinion, I liked Hobbs and Shaw, but it wasn't great. And like, yeah, this film it's dumb fun, and that's what the Fast and Furious films are. They're stupid, they're dumb, they're ridiculous, they're ludicrous. It's off the walls, it's crazy, it's silly, but it's meant to just be entertaining. And that's what this film is. That's what all the other Fast and Furious films are too. Like they have all these like really over-the-top stunts with cars and guns and explosions and heists and all those things. There's a lot of callbacks though too in this film. Like I really liked how they featured bits from the song "See You Again" throughout the film, and like they had Paul Walker's character gets a brief appearance too at the start of the film too. May he rest in peace. And also, Daniela Melchior plays a character both in Fast X and in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we'll talk about too in this video. And yeah, I'm really happy for Daniela Melchior that she's like finding work out after the Suicide Squad, 2 years ago, because that was her like debut, like in an English-speaking role. Was she played Ratcatcher 2 in that movie and just became an instant icon. Like she wasn't written for the Ratcatcher wasn't written for the DC comics, but like I could see them doing so like now, like kind of like how they did with Harley, because Harley Quinn was introduced in the Batman animated TV series in the 90s, but because of how popular her character was in the show, they started writing her comics. Yeah, and Danielle Melchior just became she became instantly like one of my new favorite new actresses, because like she was like I'm 24 years old. She was my age when they filmed the Suicide Squad. Oh my gosh, she is so gorgeous. Just fat celebrity crush. I don't know, call me stupid. I'm like, TVB, you're such a loser. You're talking about your celebrity crushes in a Skizzo Rambling video on a Saturday night because you have no life or friends. It's like, I'm looking at Mason's blanket. Mason has a Snorlax blanket. Snorlax blanket. Mason, you liking your new Snorlax blanket?
What'd you say?
Are you liking your new Snorlax blanket?
Yeah, it's like so awesome. It's so soft.
Yes, I just want to run up to a Snorlax and just pat his belly like this. Pat, pat, pat. I love to pat bellies. Yes, yes, yes. But anyways, but Fast X, yeah, it's a fun film. And I would give it once again, a 6 out of 9 stars. It's a likable film. And so another film was okay, like I said, I'm looking at my notepad on my cell phone to list of the films I saw. There's Fool's Paradise. Have you seen this movie, my non-existent viewers? Good. I'm happy for you. Unfortunately, I have. Fool's Paradise. Not only is this the only film that I saw during my YouTube hiatus that I flat out disliked, but it's also my pick for just the worst movie that's been released this year so far for 2023. Fool's Paradise. It's a satirical comedy with Charlie Day, who, again, did a really great job as Luigi. Not as good of a job here. Like, Charlie Day, what happened on set, buddy? And yeah, he plays this movie star in this satire, and Ken Jeong plays a down on his luck publicist, and he gets hired. They work together in this movie, and Adrian Brody's in this movie too, and they're on set. It's a comedy. It's supposed to be a satire. It's supposed to be there's physical comedy, but I gotta be honest, if you can keep a straight face the entire movie for a comedy, and if the whole point of the movie is to make you laugh, and if you don't laugh, if you don't even crack a smile, I think I chuckled slightly at 2 scenes in this movie. Just because of what was happening on screen, was just something random happened. There's this one scene with a bunch of clowns just charging in out of nowhere, which I thought was a little little chuckle inducing. But otherwise, nothing was really funny about this film, and it was so boring. I think it's an hour and a half long. It felt like 4 hours. I was like, when's it gonna end? Then it ends when it does, and I'm like, holy cow, that was still really abrupt, and it just ends on this note of none of it makes any sense. Ken Jeong, as an actor, I hear, if I remember this correctly from one of Black Critic Guy's videos, I miss that guy making movie reviews, by the way. His channel is super cool. One of my inspirations to make videos throughout high school, actually. But anyways, yeah. He said, I think he talked about it in his Normal in the North review when, because Ken Jeong voiced the bad guy in that movie, and how just awful Normal in the North was. Black Craig, I was like, hey, Ken Jeong, you were a doctor before you were an actor. He left the medical field so he can go into comedy. You keep taking movies like this, you'll have to be a doctor again. And that's never been truer. That Normal in the North review from Black Craig Guy's channel has aged like fine whiskey. Ken Jeong, what happened? I hope you fired her agent. He plays a publicist in this movie. He plays an agent in Fool's Paradise. But I hope he fired his agents in real life after this film, because it was just Nothing was funny. It was dreadfully boring. The characters were all unlikable, and the script is all over the place. And it's just like the worst kinds of movies are like unfunny comedies, because the whole point of comedies that makes you laugh. If like other kinds of bad movies, like an unengaging like action movie, or like a unscary horror movie, or like a emotionally, I guess, like an untouching drama, like, you know, those films, those kinds of movies can be like those kinds of bad movies can be like unintentionally funny. But a comedy, the whole point is that it's supposed to be a funny movie, and if it's unfunny, and if you're just bored watching it, then like this is the worst kinds of movies, because there's nothing to even laugh at. There's not even an unintentional humor. Okay, well, some bad comedies have unintentional laughs because we're laughing at the filmmakers for making a bad film. But yeah, The Fool's Paradise is just like, it's. I'm happy that no one's heard of this film, and I saw the 13% on Rotten Tomatoes when I was looking at new movies to see that night, and I was like, well, gotta make a worst movies of the year list too this January, so might as well see it. And Fool's Paradise, yeah, it gets a 1 out of 9 stars. It is a garbage film. Man. Okay, next film I gotta share is Renfield with Nicholas Hoult. I really like Nicholas Hoult as an actor. Like, he played the zombie like lead character in Warm Bodies. That's one of my favorite like romance films. It's like a zombie like comedy romance film for sure. But it's like, yeah, that movie turns 10 years old this year, which is just crazy to me. Like, yeah, that also my YouTube channel turns 10 years old this October too. So obviously we'll cross this bridge when we get there, but like this fall, like after this internship ends that I took here in upstate New York, this August, like I'm determined, like I would, if I have like the time for it, of course, because I'm still not entirely sure what my plans are after August. I would like to upload daily this fall. I'd like to upload at least like once a day. That would be a nice goal to shoot for, but if I can't because of like work or whatever other reasons, like I would, that's just what I gotta do. You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, Renfield, Nicolas Cage plays like Dracula or this guy's vampire boss, and Awkwafina plays the security guard in this film. Renfield, this movie is just, it's so silly. And unfortunately, I actually fell asleep for most of the film's like third act. It was just a long day at work, which again, I did get a job briefly in Colorado before I moved to upstate New York for this internship. I'll get that sooner than later. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember much of the film's ending because I fell asleep in the theater. I woke up and I was like, oh man, the film's over. But yeah, well, from what I do remember from Renfield, though, like it was a funny movie. Like it was funny, it was entertaining, it was bloody, it was gross. The action scenes are brutal, but it was a typical like vampire like horror comedy. Like it's again, there's nothing to like really shout about with it. It's not like praiseworthy, but you know, it's a fun film. Like it's one of those films where it's like, hey, if you don't decide to watch it, you're not like missing much. But if you do decide to watch it, it's like, hey, I think you're in for a good time. If you like vampires and Nicolas Cage and just like random silliness and just like over the top gory violence, I think you're in for a pretty solid time. So Renfield, I would give it a 5 out of 9 stars. It's a passable film. And I gotta talk about one of my favorite movies of the year so far is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I have never played D&D before. I talked about this when I put this movie in my most anticipated films of the year list back in January. This was one of my most excited movies of the year, and I gotta say I walked away feeling very like impressed. I was like, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before, but like whenever I see like a big fantasy release, I just get really excited because I am a fantasy writer myself. Like I pursued a degree in English to like, you know, chase my goals of like writing fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm really wanting to get back into writing more this summer. Like I have a fantasy novel planned, especially after interning at zoos. This is actually I started my 3rd zoo internship this summer here in New York, which is, if that's what you guys were wondering, yeah, this is my 3rd zoo internship, and I've been planning a novel lately that's like full of dinosaurs and talking animals, like, and And the talking animal characters, I'm gonna be naming them after like various zoo animals I've gotten to work with within the past, like 7 years. My first zoo internship was at the Bronx Zoo when I was 16. And yeah, all the internships I've had in between that and until now, like I'll be naming as many of my characters off of animals I've met at various zoos I've like worked at as much as I can. But yeah, anyways, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves and other things too. Like, I like Chris Pine. He's a good actor. I love Michelle Rodriguez. She's one of my favorite actresses. And yeah, there's a lot of cool actors in this film. Justice Smith, I'm really happy that he's redeeming himself after being super annoying in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I actually like, I like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom despite all backlash I received. The one thing I definitely agree with though is Justice Smith's character in that movie. God, he was annoying. But yeah, everyone did a great performance in the film, and it was just like, from what I've been told by like people who do like play D&D on a regular basis, the whole movie just feels like a regular Dungeons and Dragons campaign they play in real life, with the quest and the storyline throughout the film, and Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine and all these these characters just kicking tons of like monsters' butts and all that good stuff. Yeah, it was just a really great time, and I'm so happy that it succeeded as well critically and financially as it did, because it feels like fantasy as a genre, it's like making a comeback. And I have to give this film thanks for that. So I have to give Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves a 8 out of 9 stars. It's a great film, and if you guys haven't watched it yet, I would suggest doing so. Also, I'm recording this video. It's midnight now. And so it's officially Jurassic Park's 30th birthday today. Holy cow, June 11th, if I remember correctly, June 11th is Jurassic Park's anniversary. I'm just gonna look it up really fast. Jurassic Park release date. Yep, June 11th, 1993. Holy cow, I need to dig my Jurassic Park shirt out of my suitcase so I can wear it to the zoo tomorrow that I'm interning at. Because we haven't gotten our intern shirts yet. Like June, my second favorite movie of all time. The first being the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I guess technically this, Jurassic Park would be my fourth favorite movie of all time, considering I like to smudge all 3 Lord of the Rings movies together because I really don't like ranking them from worst to best. Because they're my favorite movies of all time, and they're just 3 chapters of the same story. I view the Star Wars trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy, that is the same way. These 3 films are just too iconic and too nostalgic and too perfect for me to rank any of them from worst to best. But yeah, Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite films, and I just owe that movie a lot just for making me into the person I am today, because my very first movie review, my proper I've been making videos since 2013, since my 15th birthday, but I didn't start. My first movie review was in 2015 when I reviewed Jurassic World when that film was released back in 2015. Yeah, and then right before Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom was released, I did my first My Leg video. I took all the deaths in the first 4 Jurassic Park movies. I put SpongeBob as My Leg sound effect over it, and that video got a ton of views. It's smashing success, and that started a trend of me making those kind of My Leg videos where I take people dying in movies and put SpongeBob's My Leg as sound effect over it. And those were the videos that got me the most views. Unfortunately, I stopped making them though because the videos kept one of them was copyright striked. It was just even worse than being blocked, or the channel strikes, or your channel gets striked, and if you get 3 of those in the span of 90 days, I believe, your channel is subject for termination, which is the idea of me losing my channel and all my videos being deleted on a channel that I've had for almost 10 years of my life scares the absolute shit out of me. So, but here's the thing, Universal Studios has been pretty good about not blocking my previous Jurassic Park themed videos with the copyrighted footage I'm putting in those videos. So I might be able to make the first one in over a year for Jurassic World Dominion. I really want to do that, so we'll see if I can. Because now it's now or never because of Jurassic Park's anniversary. But yeah, other things too, like the movies that I saw during April and May before I started this internship in upstate New York. Life was pretty good in Denver. All things considered, like it was a solid time. Once again, I said this in my video that I had in March when I triple reviewed, Shazam and Scream 6 and 65 when I discussed why I was temporarily quitting YouTube. I just really wanted to give a special thank you to my family and friends who've been super encouraging for me. The past few months after the Oregon Zoo, I suppose the internet screwed me over. I went back to Denver and I lived at my uncle's house that I've been living at sort of on and off over the years. Mostly because my mom would always take my sister and I out to Colorado annually when we were kids. So my grandparents were in that house too. May they rest in peace. And yeah, ever since I moved out to Colorado for CSU, I've been living with my uncles at his house sort of on and off, especially during spring break and Thanksgiving breaks and summer breaks while I was going to school. And now that I've left Fort Collins, I've been living with him sort of on and off, just jumping in between internships. So I lived with him, throughout March, April, and May, and I DoorDashed a lot. And my game plan was okay, Oregon internship didn't work out, unfortunately. So I scheduled, because I got into an accident back in January and a huge chunk of my bumper was torn off in the accident. I had an appointment scheduled to get my bumper fixed. It was April 5th, if my memory is correct. Yeah, so I put my plan when I got back from Oregon is I'm just gonna DoorDash all day, every day, because DoorDash it still is, but at the time it was my only source of income at the time. So I figured since I won't be able to drive for 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long it took them to fix my bumper, therefore I won't be able to dash. Let's just DoorDash as much as we can now. So when my car has to be put in the shop, I'm just gonna bring my laptop out with me into grocery stores or coffee shops or libraries or wherever, and let's just plant myself at those places and let's just update my resume and just apply to as many different internships and jobs as humanly possible until my car is fixed. And then when the car is out of the shop, let's just let's have our days jump back and forth between DoorDashing and job searching and internship searching. And during that job and internship search, I applied to a lot of different AZA accredited zoos, for internships. And I also started looking at jobs at pet resorts and dog daycares in the Denver area that my uncle lives next to. Because I worked, as most of you probably know, I worked at a dog daycare for 14 months in Fort Collins, while I was going to school. I was there part-time when I was a CSU student. After I graduated, I was working there full-time before I left Fort Collins for my internship at the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo back in fall. So I figured, hey, if just in case I don't get to find a new internship at a zoo for the summer, let's just have a little backup plan that we can fall back on. So it's if I didn't get this internship that I have now in upstate New York, I could just work at a dog daycare for the summer and just keep myself busy through that and find something else to do in the fall when the fall rolls around. And that's what I did. I had interviews from other zoos and they didn't accept me, unfortunately. So I called my sister and I was should I start looking at regular jobs now, or should I wait until I hear back from other zoos that have interviewed me for looking at summer jobs? And without even hesitating, she was oh, look at jobs now. It's here's the thing with dog daycares and pet resorts. Maybe not all dog daycares are dog places, but both the places I've worked at, this is kind of true. They're very used to employees leaving at before 30 days. That's what I did. I got a job at a pet resort in Parker, Colorado, and I worked there for 4 weeks. I was okay, well, if I don't get a zoo internship this summer, if I am going to be staying in Denver at my uncle's house for a summer, at least I can just do this, for 40 hours a week for $16 an hour and, keep myself busy, make money, and build up my savings through that, not have to DoorDash as much. So yeah, DoorDash is really good money, but it's not, you don't want it to be your only source of income for super long, because DoorDashing, you're on your own for gas, as well as like maintenance for your car. That includes oil changes and like your car's battery and you know, wear and tear and all that jazz, you know, putting miles in the car and everything. So even though I was only like working at that dog place for 4 weeks, I think I did the right thing by working there just for like a month, then just door dashing all day every day, you know, for 2 months, because I got out of the house at that pet resort I was at, and I got to meet some really cool new people too. And being around dogs, like I said, you know, me writing fantasy, it's like being around dogs all day just had me super like creative and imaginative than usual, because it is pretty monotonous, like, you know, being in the dog, like it can, the dog daycare is like, it can be a monotonous job. Like, yeah, you play with dogs, but like sometimes the dogs are just like not playful and they're all just like slugging around the yard, just doing nothing, just laying down. It's like, this is so boring. And the shifts go by really slow. So during that time, I just like sit there, because I can't like use my cell phone in the playrooms. That's like, you know, not company policy. I just start brainstorming ideas for like my fantasy series and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really interesting, like how this pet resort differed from Dogtopia that I was at in Fort Collins. Like, cause one is a dog daycare and the other is a pet resort. So the pet resorts are a lot more focused on like boarding dogs. They take care of cats too. Like Dogtopia didn't take care of cats, but this other pet resort I was at did take in cats. But there were a lot more boarding dogs, and also Dogtopia like had all their dogs inside for the most part. Like there were 5, maybe not all Dogtopias, but the one I was at in Fort Collins, at least there's like 5 playrooms and 5 indoor playrooms and 1 outside playroom. The dogs, like when the weather is nice, the dogs they all take turns using the outdoor playroom. Like there's like 2 big dog playrooms, 2 medium dog playrooms, and 1 little dog's playroom. Well, the Come Set Stay, that's the name of the pet resort that I worked at for 4 weeks, was like kind of the other way around. There were like 3, 4, 5 like outside dog yards and like just 2 indoor playrooms, like one big like indoor playroom for big dogs and 1 small indoor playroom for small dogs. And other things too, like there was more cleaning, and you know, I got to run dogs to and from their pet parents more at Come Set Stay than I did at Dogtopia. And there were other things too, like there were VIP dogs, just kind of like first class, but for like dog daycare. So when parents drop off their dogs to board them for like 2 to 3 weeks, if they really want to like pamper their dogs, like spoil their dogs even more, they can pay extra for the VIP rooms, where the dogs get like a whole like special play area just for them, and rotations and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just really interesting. Like if I hadn't gotten a zoo internship this summer, I'm sure my summer would have been pretty good too if I had just like stayed in Denver and like worked at that place. But yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping up this this Skizzo Rambling video. Oh yeah, maybe not. I'm pretty tired. I was gonna make like the last chunk of this video like a spoiler talk for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But you know, like I said, I'm pretty tired. I'm up early for work tomorrow. This video is going on for longer than it is. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Verse, like as of now, these are like my 2 favorite movies of the year. And I'm really happy for both of them that they're doing as well as they are, because Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the MCU has been pretty disappointing since Endgame. I loved Far From Home, I loved No Way Home, I loved Shang-Chi, and I loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But those are the only like post like Infinity Saga MCU films that I consider great. The rest have there's been like a handful of like Black Panther or Wakanda Forever was really good. But aside from that, the rest of them have just been like mostly mediocre or like just okay, you know, by MCU standards. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like James Gunn, it was his final outing as a director, as you know, for Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel, because he's moving over to DC now. And with Endgame, like Guardians 3, the rest of this video, fuck it. The rest of this video will contain spoilers for both for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Actually, I'll give I forgot to mention a little spoiler for Transformers Rise of the Beasts 2, so I'll give a little spoiler for that as well. But yeah, if you don't want spoilers for any 3 of these films, I would suggest, if you haven't seen them yet, I would suggest clicking off this video now. But starting with Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the ending of the movie, when Anthony Ramos is getting hired by that military guy, they reveal the whole office to him, and it's like, we wanted to recruit into the G.I. Joes. I was like, holy shit! They're crossing over G.I. Joes with Transformers, because I remember a Watch Mojo video, like, years ago when I was in high school. They made a video saying, like, oh, like, 2 movie franchises that should have a crossover at some point. Let's cross over Transformers and G.I. Joe, because they're both based on toy lines that Hasbro owns the rights to. So a G.I. Joe crossover could very well happen. Just keep Michael Bay out of it. And now it's finally happening. That video has aged like fine whiskey, which is crazy. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you know, like, with Endgame, the only loose end that was left untied in that movie was the Guardians, their storyline, and how, like, Quill was, or, like, you know, Star-Lord was gonna have Gamora remember, like, who he was in their relationship that they had. And that didn't work, obviously. And yeah, it's such a great film. It's not as good as the first Guardians of the Galaxy, which is still to this day like one of my all-time favorite like Marvel movies. But the third film was great. Like, it was one of the more like emotional MCU films. Like, you know, with Rocket's like flashbacks, like, because we never really like had a proper backstory explained like for Rocket and how he became like the character we know who he is today. And his whole backstory, being in that facility with Lila the otter and Teefs the walrus and Floor the rabbit, was just so sad. Like, watching these like 4 complete outcasts just becoming friends and having each other and forming a little family in this really cruel situation that they're put into. Which, by the way, the villain in this film was such an asshole, and I was like so satisfied to see his downfall at the end of the movie. Just yes. But yeah, that scene where like they kill all 3 of them right in front of Rocket was just, oh man, I like almost cried in the theater. I'm not gonna lie, that scene was really rough. Oh shit, Mason, you haven't seen these movies? Wait, no, I dragged Mason to see Across the Spider-Verse back on Wednesday because it was Discount Wednesday, and he hadn't seen the movie yet and he wanted to. So
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, but you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, have you?
No, I'm not gonna watch it though.
Okay. Or Rise of the Beasts.
Is that Transformers?
Yeah.
It's okay. They're big enough to be surrounded.
Okay. Yeah, and just like Guardians 3, that was definitely one of the most like emotional scenes in the MCU, in my opinion, at least. And yeah, I love how I think the one European chick from I forget how to pronounce the actress's name, but she was in the A24 film of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Yeah, she voices the dog character in this movie, and she's so cute. It's like, he said I'm a bad dog! And I'm just like, oh, you're so cute. I just want to pet you like the good girl that you are. And yeah, I love how this film ended with Star-Lord going back to Earth, like, you know, making amends with his grandfather. Because again, it tied the loose end that they left for him. You know, at the end of Endgames, he's like, I'm done, you know, being a fish jumping from ponds. I need to learn, stop jumping and learn how to swim. And Dog Days Are Over, they played that song at the end of the movie. I just love the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks and how the soundtrack is just so integral to the film. My sister's all-time favorite band is Florence and the Machine. And I when that song came on in the movie, my jaw was like, oh my gosh, I started gasping, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, my sister's gonna be freaking out in the theater if she hasn't seen this movie yet. Like, I was flipping out for her. And as soon as the credits started rolling, I pull out my cell phone and I text her, Auntie, like, did you see Guardians 3? And she's like, yes, I already have. She already saw it with Ryan, her boyfriend. And she was like, oh, and rest assured, I was freaking out at the end, like, Dog Days are fucking over. And I was like, yes, they are. And yeah, I also like how they put, No Sleep Till Brooklyn in Guardians 3. That scene was just so badass. The action scenes were so well choreographed. Like, everyone just had their moment to shine, too. And yeah, I mean, overall, part of me still kind of wishes the MCU just ended with Endgame, but films like this give me more hope for a franchise in the future. Just don't do any more She-Hulks for us. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Okay, so it's spoiler time, Mason. What was your favorite scene in the entire movie?
I liked the beginning. I feel like I really liked the beginning sequence of when they were like showing Gwen as the Spider, like her Spider-Man universe, because I felt like that was, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, I was so Spider-Man. Like, I felt like she was really like the main character, and then I was like, wow. I think that was a good introduction into like how every Spider-Man has their own like universe.
Don't you just want to like find the comics for like all the different spider people, like the spider folk? Yeah. I just want to find like all their backstories. There's like, I'm assuming at least some of them were like specifically written for the movie and don't have any comics about them. But there's so many different, like so many like new spider folk. I'm just gonna call them Spider Folk. It's like I need the comic book origins, like all of these, like the Peter Porker guy and the anime one too.
Yeah, those are cool. I like those a lot in the first. That was one of my favorite parts of the first movie too.
Yeah, and I think my favorite scene was when Miles figures out that he's not in the right universe.
Oh yeah, the ending was really good too.
Yeah, when like he's in a universe where Spider-Man doesn't even exist, and the first time because it was my second time, seeing it when I took you to see it. But the first time I went to see it by myself, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, my jaw was like literally agape the whole time at the end, like realizing that he was in the wrong universe. Like I've never really had that happen in a movie before. I didn't pee.
Go ahead.
But yeah, that was a great movie. I just liked how I just like how in the beginning you really felt like she was the main character, even though in the first one there was like a completely different one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, such a good writing, like cinematography and everything.
As a blonde person myself, if I ever since Miles Morales was Afro-Latino, his dad is black but his mom is Puerto Rican. If I marry if I ever date a half black, half Latina at someday,
yeah.
And if we're together during Halloween, what if we did a reverse gendered couples costume? I'll go as Gwen Stacy. She'll go as Miles.
That's so good.
That would be amazing. I would like to make that happen someday. Anyways, I think that's gonna conclude this video. It's I should have warned you guys at the start of this video, and I apologize. I should have said at the start of the video, hey, grab some popcorn, some candy, some noodles, pizza, burgers, whatever you got, because we're gonna be here a while. I hope you guys have enjoyed this lovely Skizzo Rambling, and I've said this in my Spider-Man review, and I'll say it again here. I have a lot of really exciting plans this summer, and I hope you guys do too. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and have a good night. Stay beastly.